Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in your sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in your sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. From every walk of life. Every creed and color.
Yes, indeed, we come together in the name of love, don't we? Good morning. How are you all doing? Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa. And thank you to our virtual Eddie Watkins Jr. today for playing that beautiful song for us. And if you are joining us for the first time, we want to extend a special welcome to you, whether it's the first time ever or if it's the first time in a long time that you're back with us. And we also want to especially welcome our live stream viewers wherever you are. Just know that you can find out what's going on in our center at our website, www.cslsr.org. I am Reverend Russ. I will be your flight director for today. And thank you so much for honoring our safety requirements. It's because of you honoring these requirements that we're able to have a 9 a.m. and an 11 a.m. in-person service. And just a friendly reminder to please be sure to keep your mask on at all times while you are in the center. Now, there are a number of ways that you can contribute your financial support to the center. You can give online at our website, you can send us a check, and there will be baskets at the exits on your way out of service today. And because we are a community-supported organization, we truly do appreciate your generosity. This is your center. Now, at the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, we are motivated by a vision of a healthy, loving world. It is known as the Global Vision, and it calls us to imagine a world that works for everyone. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with the divine and connection with one another. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness in action. And we do this through practice that shows up as 5 pillars of our community. And the first one is spiritual study, which expands our understanding through reading, learning, investigation, and honest self-reflection. We practice affirmative prayer, and we'll hear an example of that from our practitioner, Tamira, in just a moment, where we use the power of our word and our consciousness to creatively connect with that divine presence. We practice meditation in whatever form works best for us, and this increases our awareness and our experience of the divine presence through contemplation, concentration, and focus. And just so you know, we have a Saturday meditation group, by the way, if you're wanting to meditate with other people over Zoom. We also practice spiritual circulation, which opens us up and our community to the flow of life through balanced giving, receiving, asking, forgiving, and gratitude. And finally, we practice selfless service, the spiritual practice of serving others without expectation of reward or a specific result. And it's on that note of selfless service that I wanted to make a special announcement. This is actually, I'm really excited to get to do this because it's been over a year, I think, since we've been able to do a flower dedication. You see these beautiful flowers that we have up over here. Well, the center uses flowers to send messages of love to one another. How wonderful is that? And today's flower dedication is for Ken McCauley on our board of trustees. Thank you, Ken, for your service to the center as a trustee, as a treasurer, not our current treasurer, and most recently as a member of our stewardship team. We are so grateful for your dedication and you sharing your expertise to ensure our financial health and stability at the center. We love you very much, Ken, and we are so glad that you are here. So I know that somewhere between the music, the meditation, the prayer, the spiritual practices, and Dr. Edwards' message today is exactly what you need to experience for the next step of your spiritual unfoldment. You are welcome here. Please sit back and enjoy the service.
Good morning. I am Tamira Hume, a practitioner here at our center, and I invite you to join me in prayer. Only one, infinite and fully present in each moment, in each breath, in each thought and activity. Every quality that God has is bestowed on its creation. The beloved is unfolding with deep peace, absolute delight, creating and extending its self-givingness to all life. I am one with this. It is in me and around me, through me and as me. As this is true for me, each one in this sanctuary, online and beyond, all inclusive, is connected to this source of all that is, of the love and the goodness and the grandness and the magnificence of life. I speak my word, my prayer for all humankind, for each thread of the beautiful tapestry of life. And I claim a shared dream, a shared knowing of unity and belief that the world works for everyone. And in this claiming, in this knowing, in this realizing the goodness of one person to another, everything is made better, is grown together, accepting the beautiful diversity that exists everywhere. I am grateful to know this, to feel this awareness right here. And with that gratitude, I just lift up this prayer. I offer it up to the one who has already made it so. And together we say, and so it is. I invite you to share the affirmation for today with me. I consciously engage in divine community. I value and respect diversity. Unity is my guiding principle. Thank you.
creating a world that works for everyone. Yes, we're amazing, and we've just begun to feel the power and freedom to be who we came here to be, as we discover each other and celebrate humanity. We are creating a world that works for everyone. Yes, times are changing. It's a love revolution as we are walking together. Love is leading the way through the fields of compassion to a world that works for everyone. To a world that works for everyone. As we are walking together, love is leading the way through the fields of compassion to a world that works for everyone. To a world that works for
That was Mr. Eddie Watkins Jr., who is a friend of our community, and we look forward to the day when he will be in this room with us. And oh my goodness, if you've ever experienced him, his energy is so huge, and he sends love to us. Now, the reason why we have Eddie Watkins Jr. on screen today and not our band is because something came up for our music director on Friday that he had to attend to. And to his credit, in the over 10 years that he's worked here, he's never missed a day of work. Not a day of work. In fact, we have to send him home sometimes. So it's actually a pleasure to create the space for him to take care of what he has to take care of, because we had Eddie Watkins Jr. in the house on video as a tempting reminder that music is coming back live. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm so glad to see all of you. And I received in the mail my letter from the center asking about my contributions for next year, as well as the piece of paper in it where I wrote down my prayer intention and folded it up into a prayer knot, and I mailed it back, and I see other people have done the same. If you're sitting there thinking, what is he talking about? It's possible you're not on our mailing list, and that would be the reason. So then on your way out, stop in at the table, talk to Linda so that you can be part of the Community Prayer Intention Project, and you'll find out all about that on your way out. So I'm super excited about that. Reverend Russ and Evan Williamson and I are going to be hanging them all up as they arrive so that they will stand as a visual reminder of our commitment to live a spiritual life that is loving and connected. That's what's going on. The theme for Centers for Spiritual Living all over this month is going further together. So we've been talking about that, and we'll talk about that the whole month, what we can accomplish together and how our togetherness is important. And so I'm really happy to be here with you together. And it's so interesting looking at your faces, and I can't see your smiles, but I can sense it when your eyes reflect that you're smiling, and the little movements, even in the music, we pick up so much from each other in non-verbal ways that cannot be duplicated any other way. And we learn about each other, and I notice that the more I know about a person, about you, even a stranger, about their life, about their challenges, about their disappointments, about their dreams, about what they're interested in, the easier it becomes for me to feel a connection with them. And then when I'm connected to a person, it opens up the pathway for kindness. It comes more easily. When I don't know about a person, the less I know about them, when I've got no clue about what makes them tick, what they dream about and hope for, what they're worried about, it's easier for me to be distant and to care less. So taking time to connect with another person is important by asking them about their dreams, about their history, about their family. What makes them happy? What's troubling? This is a healthy practice. And it's really healthy and good for us if and when we really listen to them. Really take in what they say, because that listening is such an important skill, because we have to listen beyond the words that are being said. We've got to listen to, what's inside of that person's facial expression. We have to look and we have to feel. How is the person speaking? What words are they using and emphasizing? So as a person speaks, they reveal themselves, their hearts, to us. And we learn so much more about them than what is in the words. And do you know, if we listen this way, we will start to care. Indeed, we will start to fall in love. It's unavoidable. That's what happens. Because closeness, even through listening, closeness opens up the pathway for kindness, for belonging, for caring, for compassion. And closeness gives us the generosity, to do those important things like overlooking mistakes, forgiving transgressions. And don't you know that this type of closeness and kindness, it's an intentional way of being that I have to practice to keep it in shape. It's kind of like speaking a language. If you don't speak it, it goes away. I don't speak the language that I grew up with anymore. I was never very good at it, it's true. But now it's just like a memory. I used to. But don't you know, when I'm around people who are speaking it, It comes back from wherever it is. It comes back. It's still there, just neglected, out of practice. The world pandemic has switched things up for us a little bit because now we have fewer opportunities to be together in person. So it's created a set of unique challenges. How do we stay connected, communicating, caring, compassionate if we're not around each other? How do we prevent that slip into forgetfulness about a skill we have? How do we prevent slipping into heartless communication? How do we avoid abandoning, what should I call it, our true self if we are not together? The good news is that technology has come to our rescue and made it possible for us to connect in new ways and to communicate at lightning speed across great distances with people we have never met before and may never actually meet again. That's the upside. We've got no excuse for not connecting. The not so good news is that electronic communication is missing something. Physical closeness. And we need it. So this electronic communication environment, it can also create some illusions. One of the illusions it creates is the illusion of intimacy, in which people say things to each other that they might never say in person. Have you ever noticed how in your group, in your friends, in your family, or your people, there is some freedom, some permission to talk to each other in ways that outsiders better not? I'll give you an example. There is a name that only my closest friends can call me. I'm not telling you what it is, because nobody else can call me by that name. You get the idea? It happens in families too. It shows up like this, I can say that about my brother, but you better not. You haven't earned that yet. The foundation of trust and familiarity isn't there yet. The intimacy isn't there yet. Like it isn't when we sit behind a computer screen or we're gazing into a smartphone. In a way, we find ourselves inserted into other people's living space, their homes. And it can be very easy to assume that that closeness and that permission is there when it hasn't grown yet and it hasn't been earned. So, like many people today, I am spending a lot more time online than I did 2 years ago, communicating through screens. And I'm noticing it takes a little extra intention and attention to stay caring and kind and mindful. Because when I can't be close to you and I can't look at your whole face and I can't feel your presence, some of the nonverbal communication cues aren't there to help me along. So I have to work a little more mindfully when I'm online, a little harder when I'm listening online, on the phone, or through a text stream, because otherwise my loving kindness muscle can get out of shape and I can easily forget how to speak the language of thoughtfulness. One of my sources of inspiration for this, my role model for online communication, He's a customer service representative on a technology help forum. I kind of follow him like I'm his fan. And I'll tell you why. He answers every question, every rant aimed at him or at the company or the product as if he is responding to a beloved family member or a friend, a dear friend. I can't get enough of it. You see, apparently, there is nothing in life more frustrating. There is no greater indignation than a device that does not work as it is intended to. It causes fury. It is a violation to human dignity. I've seen this on some of the other support forums that I visit. That's what I do in my spare time, you know. Some other forums, they don't have the benefit of my saintly role model. No. So the message streams there, they turn out to just be places where customers express their frustration and anger, and they do it at the support staff. And so I've watched some of the communications. You can read the whole thing. They become tense and snippy on both ends. And I remember watching one thinking, this is not going to go well. Because clearly the technician on the other side had been trained to answer with very specific stock phrases. So I saw it. The technician said, "Thank you for contacting us. I'm sorry you're having the trouble. Do I understand correctly that you," and then they just copied whatever the customer had said. I knew it wasn't going to go well. So instead of the intended outcome of connection and empathy and realness, it made the customer furious. Oh my goodness. And, through words, the customer flew into a justified fit of rage and wrote some awful things about a person he or she had never met. I wondered, would she or he say all that if they were sitting face to face? I wonder if they had greeted each other and asked how their families were. Would they say that? I wonder if one of them knew that the other one had recently lost a precious member of their family. I wondered if they knew that one of them was struggling to pay their rent. Would they say that? I wondered if one of them knew that the other one's dreams, well, you get the idea. I wondered. My role model of online communication is superpower, is this communication, when he replies to complaints. Listen to this. He stays on the topic of inquiry with direct and polite language. In other words, he bypasses the temptation to strike back or to become defensive when customers use personal language or unkind words to him. In other words, he doesn't return anger for anger. He doesn't return spite for spite. He doesn't. How does he do that? What's his end game? What's he up to? What are his values? See, I want to meet him one day. And I tell myself, I imagine he must have raised children because tantrums don't distract him. Or I tell myself, maybe he understands how pointless it is to focus on other people's grammar and spelling and tone is. You know, maybe he understands how pointless it is focusing on somebody's tone and never getting to the issue. Or maybe, I tell myself, maybe he is in touch with his spiritual self and he understands that how he shows up in the world is its own reward. Maybe. One of the ideas in Zen Buddhism is that all humans are essentially Buddhas, but we get distracted from our true nature. So our work then is to mindfully stay aware of our true nature and let nothing distract us from it. And in the case that we do become distracted, to come back as quickly as we can. In our teaching, we have a saying, there is a powerful good in the universe, and you can use it. It ought to have fine print, saying, as long as you remember to. And as long as you remember to use it in a way that is intended to be used. I get distracted and I forget to use it. And when I forget to use it, like language, it becomes forgotten, out of shape, like a muscle. What distracts us from our true nature? Well, being cooped up indoors for such a long time will do it. Having a too busy mind with a too busy schedule so there's no time for quiet, that'll do it. Or overly identifying with possessions, look, position, that'll do it. Or overindulging in unhealthy habits, that'll do it. Or staying too long in an unwholesome situation, long before the time I knew to leave the party, you know what I mean? That'll do it. Or delaying what I know I ought to do for far too long, that'll do it. Or, anything that distracts me from my true nature and points elsewhere. Revenge. That'll do it. Mm-hmm. I know what happens if a person gets out of shape physically. Do you? And the funny thing is, if I let this out of shape become my new normal, I can get comfy there. And then it becomes a little more challenging to break out of the stuck pattern. You're all very quiet. This time of year is when our AIDS life cycle team starts practicing, getting in shape, training for the ride. For the past 2 years, the ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles to raise funds for HIV education and treatment had to be canceled because of the pandemic. So now the team is getting geared up to do it again next year. It looks good. So I don't think I'll be able to go on the ride next year, but I thought, you know what? I would like to get in on one of those little training rides. That'll be nice. So I went to the garage to get the bike. Yeah. About 5 boxes in front of it. Finally, when I got to it, covered in spider webs and dust and 2 flat tires, and I noticed I felt quite tired just getting there. I lost interest. Do I really want to get that sweaty for a good cause? I don't know. I think I'll eat a bonbon. You know what I mean? Yeah. So imagine with me, imagine that you or somebody you know has been less active than they might be for the past 2 years. And it's kind of become normal. Besides, everybody else is doing it. Then one day, this person that you're imagining, maybe it's you, you have an insight from within you, like a divine download, and you realize, I'm missing me. I long to get back to my natural state of being. So you get started, maybe a bit too enthusiastic, and you go for, I don't know, a run around the block or a strong, vigorous walk around the neighborhood, and it's wonderful. Except that it's also unexpected and exhausting. And after the initial rush of endorphins released by your effort, your unprepared muscles are screaming the next day. And right there in that moment, I can imagine this person's mind saying, I was better off watching TV and eating the food I wanted to. It felt good. I think I'll have another bonbon. But imagine with me that this person, you maybe, interrupts that thought for a moment. Oh, I get what that is. I'm breaking out of that new normal into a newer normal. And you renew your decision to safely get fit again. And over time, maybe a gentler way, maybe with help, you do get back into shape. And it's wonderful. And you feel better about yourself. And you remember things that you forgot you were able to do, words that you forgot you were able to use. And you realize that just the smallest investment in your physical well-being pays off. And you start to remember. So that little story is really for myself. Because getting started is the challenge. I have to gently break out of being stuck. And now I'm not talking only about physical fitness, I'm talking about loving kindness fitness. I have to gently break out of the pattern of being stuck. I know that there is no point in waiting for ideal circumstances before I begin. There is no point in waiting for other people to be kind first. There's no point in waiting for a sign. The truth is, life is full of opportunities to begin to practice. And I got to be careful not to accept being unkind as normal. I picked on movies last week. I'm going to pick on them again this week. Movies, for example, often celebrate snarky, sarcastic, and vengeful heroes as role models. So I can see how a person might be tricked into thinking that being mean and being forceful is a desirable way to move through society because the movie stars role model it for us. No. Still, I get messy, do you? And when I get messy and out of shape with the way I'm treating people, I try to remember my role model, the online customer service agent who I have never met. I think of his example, and I try to practice in that way wherever I am, whether it's online or in person. I try. I try to ask myself, if I can just pause, I try to ask myself, what is the more beautiful way to say what I need to say? What is the more beautiful way to advocate for my needs? I try. And that is why community is so important, because it can be a place for us to practice and to stay in shape together. So I encourage you to take advantage of the online communities we do have, to use them like a a loving kindness gymnasium to exercise in. You could attend our being and belonging discussion group today, for example, to talk about diversity and oneness. You could go to our Sunday evening conversations to be with Peggy, talk about how sharing your dream is a way of bringing it into manifestation. You could go to our weekly drop-in meditation on Mondays, or you could go to our live visioning circle at lunchtime on Mondays, or you could go to our lunchtime learning to talk about how to not live in fear. Or you could use the whole wide world, your friends and family and strangers and everyone, as an opportunity to get into the kind of shape that the true you knows is possible for you. Our founder, Dr. Holmes, called that presence the friend within you. And so for our practice today, I'm going to read to you an adaptation of his words about that inner presence. So I invite you to breathe in and exhale, letting your eyes close. You have a friend within you who is closer than your shadow. This friend anticipates your every desire, knows your every need, and governs your every act. This friend is the God within your own soul, the animating presence. This friend with you is infinite. It is not limited by previous experiences which you may have had, and neither by present conditions or passing situations. It, within you, has no inherited tendencies. It has never been caught in the mesh of circumstances. It is radiant, free, and happy. It is your inner, absolute, and perfect self. This friend within you is different from all other persons, yet united with all. There is some part of you which reaches into the nature of others, irresistibly drawing them to you and drawing you to them, connecting all in one complete unity. The friend within you lives in a state of readiness. It is above fear. It is beyond hurt. It is sufficient to itself. It is a luminous presence. It is the high counselor, the eternal guide. There can be no greater unity than exists between you and this inner friend. It spreads a table before you in the wilderness of human thought. When this presence experience shall be rolled up like a scroll, it will pass on to a new and greater experience. But today, this friend is here. Trust it, then, today. And you may trust it for all tomorrows yet to come. Possibly it will be difficult for you from time to time to believe that there is such a friend within, but it is there, at the very center of your being, directing your thought and causing you to rise. It is the one who keeps silent watch within you. It is the one that lifts you up to the realization that you are forever united in the one. And let the next breath you take be deeper than the one before, followed by a sigh, with your eyes gently opening when you feel ready to do so. It is time for our community announcements. And so I invite our in-flight attendant, the friendly Reverend Russ Laguerre, to come up to here to tell us what is going on in our spiritual community.
Can we get some love for Dr. Edward? You know, that talk reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, and if you can tell me where this quote came from, you get like 20 bonus points. And it's always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. And it's stuck with me since I first heard it, out of the most interesting of places. And that's what I'm feeling today. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. So, announcements. Our circles for spiritual connection are back, and they start this week. These are groups that we have created to build community, to do that thing that Dr. Edward was talking about, us being together, whether it's on Zoom or hopefully down the road back in person. And each session is about 90 minutes long, and it's led by an experienced facilitator. And you can go onto our website and find out how you can sign up for one of those groups. And they go for 6 weeks at a time, but they do have an option to continue if the group wants to continue. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check that out on our website. And as Dr. Edward just mentioned, we have a new lunchtime learning topic in October, and we'll have a little blurb too from our facilitators, but every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific time, you can join our practitioners Lawrence Edwards, Lily Escovedo, and Krista McAtee in a discussion about the writings of Ernest Holmes that he collected in the book, Living Without Fear. And some of the topics include growing from fear into freedom, freedom from fear is possible, and the power of right thinking, and all of those sound super cool. So there's no need for you to sign up. You can just simply drop in on that Zoom link every Wednesday, and you can find that link on our website. We also have a couple new spiritual enrichment classes that are beginning at the end of this month. The first is Ladder of Consciousness, that is facilitated by our fabulous Reverend Sciotta. And the second is Your Authentic and Innate Goodness, that is facilitated by this guy, Dr. Edward. So stay tuned to these announcements. As we get a little bit closer to the date, we'll have more details for you. And you can also check out our class schedule link on our website if you're really looking for the details now and you want to sign up already. Also, just a quick reminder that our annual Remembrance Service is going to be coming up on November 3rd at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So you can get the details for it on our website, and you can begin to make plans now, and we'll have some more information as we get a little bit closer to that one as well. And finally, again, as Dr. Edward mentioned, I think you're stealing all my announcements today. Our Being and Belonging Group's monthly meeting is happening today after our second service at 1:30 to 3 p.m. Pacific time. So you can find the Zoom link for that on our website, and you can join us as we discuss what diversity, equity, and inclusion mean when we're coming from our New Thought, love-centered principles. So I'm going to be there today. It's going to be super fun, and I look forward to that. So that's all for announcements today. Here we've got a video coming up for you.
Hello, beautiful people of the center. How are you? Lily Escovedo, my friend Krista here, and myself, we are doing lunchtime learning, 12 noon every Wednesday. We're going through Ernest Holmes' book, Living Without Fear. So if that is something that you would like to live without, please come and join us 12 o'clock Wednesdays, lunchtime learning. Yay. See you there.
Come join us. Thanks.
It's time for us to close our service with a benediction and some more music by Eddie Watkins Jr. So, these are the words we usually say together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is that thing called life. Life is in my mind, life is in my body, and life is in my affairs. I think it, I feel it, and I accept it. Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Know with me that you are never alone, that Spirit is right where you are. that you have only to look within at any moment to know that you are guided, sustained, and inspired by a presence that expresses itself as you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly, so that in everything that we do and say and think, we honor this presence within. And so it is. Please enjoy Eddie Watkins Jr.
Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let us walk with our families in perfect harmony. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on earth, peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every single breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace on earth.